I'm Jane Neary. On behalf of Theatre Redlands, welcome to this broadcast. We'll be bringing, once the curtain has lifted again, a production to you called Women of Their Word that looks at some of Australia's most famous and most impactful women poets. Today we're speaking with Christine Venner Westaway, local actor, singer, songwriter, and she's playing the role of Maybanke Anderson, who was certainly one of the front runners in the whole suffragist movement and a poet of some note. Christine, welcome to the screen.
Thank you, Jen. Lovely to be here. Thank you.
A lot of the roles that we're called on as actors to portray are historical characters that you can mess about with because nobody knew them if they lived 500 years ago. Or perhaps fictional characters that you can make up. But Maybanke Anderson was a suffragist who was alive very recently. Does that limit your interpretation?
Look, I don't think so. I think it was what they're about and the values that they imbibe and the personality that they are. That's what you're looking for, not necessarily, you know, how recent they are in terms of history. Um, so when you read that and try and imbibe that, whatever it is, wherever the person they live, you're still channeling that person hopefully through yourself. So it all sort of comes out in the mix, and I don't think it limits you in any way. It kind of guides you, maybe more than anything.
Mm.
Um,
She was certainly one of the notable suffragists. What things for you stand out in her achievements?
well, I think what instantly grabbed me was the fact that this woman who had been deserted by her husband, raising seven children, an educator, um, found the time, like she heard about the suffrage movement, became involved, and she wasn't a woman that just did anything by halves or just kind of got involved around the edges. She just jumped straight in and she started a paper, a fortnightly paper writing, and that would have required, listening on the ground what was happening, being able to critique what was happening. So and yet, she found the time to be able to do this. God knows when. It must have been at midnight. Talk about literally burning the candle, probably at both ends. Yeah, just boundless energy. Yeah.
Was it hard in interpreting the role from the Dames and Daredevils play, we should say, written by Phil Lobel? Was it hard to separate the woman from the function?
Oh, look, not at all. I think they're so intertwined. Um, she displayed the sort of character she was through what she did. And she had so many strings to her bow. I mean, she was a contemporary commentator, she was a journalist, she was a poet, she wrote music for children, put together educational material. Um, yeah, she's just had boundless energy. So, yeah.
Her poetry, did you find things out about her from her writing that perhaps you wouldn't find in a biography or a history book?
Well, I must confess I've only been exposed to one of the poems she wrote, but that has a very special kind of interest, the poem. But what jumped out at me was her eye, her exquisite eye for detail, and her love of nature, and the ways that you could almost, when you read it, just put your hand out and touch what she's talking about. It's just so vivid.
Could
Uh,
you perhaps give us a sample of part of her poetry or part of the script, Phil Lobel's glowing script
yes,
that
all right.
nutshells Maybank Anderson for you?
All right. Well, I won't give an excerpt of the poem because I think that might give it away. You'll have to come to the show to find out about that little snippet. But there's many in the script excerpts that give a glimpse of who she is. But this is the part that I really love. And it goes something like this. I'm not a political person for the simple reason that too much valuable time is wasted by politicians in personal quarrels. Education was my driving force. Without it, the vote for women would never come. Without it, the vote would be poorly served. I knew education had to begin early.
Splendid. Splendid ethic and a splendid production, if I might say. Christine, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jan. And I hope that plenty of people will come to find out more about this amazing woman.
Thank you. Christine Venner Westaway. She'll be playing the suffragist and poet Maybanke Anderson in the Theatre Redlands production of Women of Their Word at Theatre Redland. I'm Jan Neary. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned in.